Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right guys, it's Friday, February the 14th, and it's 9:32 p.m. Eastern Time. Happy Valentine's Day. And it's a hard day actually for some, because those that they've had a spouse that died, or those that are divorced, or those that are just single like me. You know, I have to go build a snowman because I ain't got no man. It's true. Anyway, I meant to be earlier today, but honestly, I have been busier than a cat covering crap on a marble floor. Yes, I haven't been drowning myself in sorrow, eating bonbons or anything like that. Anything of that nature. So, yeah. Anyway, what's on tap for tonight is 2 videos. 2. I said 2. Yes, we're going to do the Q post and get all caught up to date with that. And we're going to do another video after that. You'll have to wait and see. All right, so let's jump into Q. I do have a few people to thank, but I'm going to be doing that in the next video, just because I like to keep all the Q stuff, just kind of, a lot of people visit the channel when I'm doing Q, so I don't want to burden them with being overly chatty, as you all know I can be. All right, so let's jump in here and get up to date. We're going to be covering February 12th to 14th. Now, I did not even realize that I realized he had posted yesterday, and I planned to cover it today, and then he posted today, but I did not realize that I had missed the 12th. What is wrong with me? Why didn't somebody tell me? Come on, guys. Anyway, let's get into this, and we're just going to start from the top and go right up to the very latest one, and hopefully, although the night's still young, Q could still post, but we will get caught up to date anyway as of 9:34 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, let's go. So this is drop 3856, and the title of this is "The Lines Are Drawn Between Patriots and Traitors." And Q has put this in here, which he's used before. It's actually from a Q drop from February 21st, pardon me, 2018. So let's take a look at this, because I pulled it over here and made it bigger. So, because I know you guys on your tiny little phones can't have a difficult time seeing it when it's too small. All right. So this says patriot. 1, these are definitions. 1, a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion. I like that definition. That is actually the true definition. Some people are trying to repaint patriots as white nationalists, which is absolutely ludicrous. And let's go to the second definition: a person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights against presumed interference by the federal government. Now, let's look at the definition of traitor. A traitor is a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. 2, a person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. And of course, we are talking about, that definition covers both kinds of traitors that we are dealing with. And let's come over here and see what Q has added to this. He says, the lines are drawn, which is interesting. It's interesting because I think I put it in here. This right here is a post from the 10th of March, 2018. And he said, there are no drawn lines. Now he's saying, the lines are drawn. Interesting. So he's saying the lines are drawn, and what lines are they? The line between patriot and traitor. The lines are drawn. Now back then in 2018, he said there are no lines drawn. But as we go on, of course, it becomes more and more evident who is a traitor and who is a patriot. So let's go on. Now, I would love to know what this series of letters is, and I don't know. And I haven't been able to find anybody that has talked about that. So we're going to skip that for now, and I'm going to continue to look into it. And Q says, define renegade. Hussein, that was his U.S. Secret Service code name. All the presidents have a code name, and their wives. And up to this point in history, we have always had first ladies. It'll be interesting when if we have a female president. I fully suspect we will at some point. I just don't think it'll ever be Hillary. But when we do, it'll be interesting to see what they call the man, the president's husband. I don't know. I guess he would be first man, first gentleman, first husband? I don't know. Anyway, define renegade. That was his USS code name. And that is a standard definition. We all know what renegade is. And define evergreen. Now that is Hillary Rodham Clinton's U.S. Secret Service code name. And we all know that. But here's the interesting part. He's saying it's a non-standard definition. That is why they chose that name for her, or I'm not sure whether they choose the name or the person chooses the name. I'm not sure how that works. Maybe some of you know, and if you do, put it in the comments below because we'd all be interested. But he's saying that for evergreen, it's a non-standard definition. Well, a standard definition of evergreen means forever green. That's why the tree is named an evergreen, because it's always green. In the middle of winter, it's still green. But he is saying it's not the standard definition. And then he gives us a clue. Think depopulation. The silent war continues. ... Q. So we've looked at this, and let's come down here. And this is the quote, or the drop 925. It says, evil is everywhere. This was the 10th of March, 2018. And the only reason I bring that up is that now he's saying the lines are drawn, but back then he said there are no drawn lines, no boundaries, good versus evil. And he said, this is not about religion or party affiliation. Evil is everywhere. That's the truth. There are no drawn lines. But here, I think he's saying that, okay, it's not that the Democrats are evil and the Republicans are good. It's not Republicans versus Democrats. It's good versus evil. So, and there are no drawn lines, meaning there are no party lines, meaning you can't just put all the evil people into the Democrat because there are evil people who are Republican as well. So that is what he's saying there. But here, I think he's saying the line is drawn between patriot and traitor. Now, this is by Julian's Rum. Good person to follow on Twitter if you are on Twitter. And if you are on Twitter, I'm on Twitter. I'm under MISHEL, MISHEL. DB for Deception Bites. Find me and follow me, and if you want me to follow you back, just ask. All right, so define evergreen. The Christmas tree traces to the myth of Ra, the sun god, born because, of course, Christmas trees are evergreen. Christmas tree traces to the myth of Ra, the sun god, born from the tip of an evergreen as a phoenix. Ancient Egyptians considered gold the skin of the gods, specifically the sun god Ra, and often used it to craft objects of spiritual significance. Why is this relevant? Excuse me. Now that is a quote by Q, not Julian's Rum. Hang on one second, excuse me. All right, so evergreen, normally it refers to the evergreen tree. But you know what I think is so interesting about this? I think it's interesting because the White House posted that picture, and we went over it yesterday about the holly berries. And of course, holly is it's part of the evergreen family. So it is applicable, and he was talking about, or they were talking about evergreen. So I honestly believe that that applied to Hillary Rodham Clinton. But let's go on, because I think it has to do with this. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I may have to pause this. I went through this yesterday at the first of the video, and then my voice cleared up and I was fine. So I'm going to keep pushing through. If you're willing to push through, I'm willing to push through. All right. This is what I think that her code name refers to. Evergreen International Airlines, and it's well known as an airline known for drug smuggling, trafficking, human trafficking, so forth. Evergreen International Airlines, and also it was connected very deeply to the CIA. Evergreen International Airlines was a charter and cargo airline based in McMinnville, Oregon, United States, with long-standing ties to the Central Intelligence Agency. It operated contract freight services, offering charters and scheduled flights, as well as wet lease services. I'd love to know what that means. I hope it doesn't mean what I think it means, because we all know what wet works is. That is when you send an assassin in. That is called wet works. So, and here we have cult gold symbology. Ancient Egyptians considered gold the skin of the gods, especially the sun god Ra, and often used it to craft objects of spiritual significance. And this is what Julian Rum was referring to right here. This quote by Q. So let's go on. But first, I am going to pause this video. I'm going to take a couple cough drops and some water and get my voice under control, because nobody wants to listen to this, I can assure you. So let me just pause. Okay, I think we've got it under control now. So, and you know, Xander here gave me a pause up on the cough drops. So I think we're okay. All right, let's go back here to where we were and continue on. All right, this is the next drop. It's 3857, 3857. Ask yourself, why are there coordinated attacks on both 8kun and Q? Now, let's read the rest of this first. Highly sophisticated state-level attacks on 8kun, followed by fake news attacks on Q the next day. Coordinated? Well, of course it's coordinated. Ask yourself a simple question. Why? It's time to wake up. Q. Now, this is Code Monkey, and he does all the code for 8kun. His name's Ron. He's on Twitter. If you want to follow him, be a good person to follow. Keeps you up to date with what's happening with 8kun. And he says this was a huge attack. Someone really wanted the site offline. Now, why did they want the site offline? Because that's where Q posts, right? Then at the same time, you had all these articles coming out in mainstream media attacking Q. So coordinated? Of course it's coordinated. Why? Because we're over the target. We're over the target. And when they attack, it's usually right before something big drops. They want to circumvent it. So first of all, they put it in the mainstream media attacking Q, so people will think, oh, that's just a bunch of whatever. And then, you know, they want to pull the board down so Q can't post further. Well, if it's just a crazy conspiracy theory, what do they care? Because that's what they all say they think, but we know that they're lying. So anyway, on February 8th, 8kun underwent a series of DDoS attacks. According to Code Monkey, these were very serious attacks by someone who not only wanted to disrupt the chans, but to take them down. The next day, there were several hit pieces in the mainstream media about Q. Coordinated? Yes. Evidently and obviously, they were coordinated. Now, No, if you're gonna chew wires, you're gonna have to get down. No! I'm sorry. Stop. Whew! I was just mowing down on those wires. I'm sorry about that. Boy, this is, I'm telling you, it's like everything's trying to make me not give this video tonight. I don't know why. I'm telling you. All sorts of weird things have been happening today. All right, and we're going to go on to the next. It's 3858, and it's called The Great Awakening. And of course, we are in the midst of that. And this is a redrop, meaning he's posted this actually 2 times in the past, but we are going to go through it. What happens when 90% of the media is controlled, owned by 6 corporations? What happens when those same corporations are operated and controlled by a political ideology? What happens when the news is no longer free from bias? What happens when the news is no longer reliable and independent? What happens when the news is no longer trustworthy? Well, the news has not been trustworthy in a good long time, but it's even less so now since Trump has been in office. What happens when the news simply becomes an extension arm of a political party? And of course, we know that the mainstream media is it's the propaganda arm for the Democrats. We know that. What happens when the news, fact becomes fiction? Well, evidently, they're good at fiction. They're not so good with fact. Fiction becomes fact. Yeah. That's how they try to pass it off. But I think a good majority of us are waking up and can see through it. They're pretty transparent once you know what the game is that they're playing, and it is a game. When does the news become propaganda? The news is propaganda. Identity creation. How does the average person who is under constant financial stress by design find time to research and discern fact versus fiction? They don't. The average person that's working a full-time job, taking care of their family, what have you, they do not have time to research anything, let alone what they're hearing on the news. Most people have been programmed to accept whatever the news says as, okay, well, they're giving us the facts. No, they're not. Not at all. So yeah, and you know what? People that don't have time to research, but still are, they're wanting to know the truth, they come to alternative media sources to get the lowdown. At the end of the day, a lot of them are not watching news anymore. They come to channels like mine, and there's a lot of other people that are very, very talented, more talented than I am, that's for sure. And they go there to get the truth, because nobody, I mean, normal people do not have the time that I put into this every day, reading through all the news sources and thinking about it. And it takes a long time, and nobody has time like that. So yeah, anyway, majority of people prone to believe someone in power sitting behind a big brand news name, of course. Do people, human psyche, tend to follow the majority mainstream viewpoint in fear of being isolated and or shunned? Yes, absolutely. And that is a psychological fact. Most people, if the majority of people believe this, they think, oh, well, that must be true, because if it wasn't, you know, that would mean that all of them are wrong and I'm right. Oh, no, that can't be. Oh, really? All right. Mainstream is used for a reason. Dominate trend and opinion. If majority of people believe X, then X must be validated or true. And that is just a fact of human nature. Why do mainstream media heads within different organizations always use the same keywords and or catchphrases? Coordinated by who? Outside entity providing instructions? Bingo. That's exactly what's happening. And we've all talked about the 4 a.m. drops that come from Virginia. And they all say the same words. They all phrase it maybe slightly different. But you know what? Sometimes they don't phrase it differently. They're just saying the same catchphrases, the same things all over. It doesn't matter what news station you watch. And obviously that's coordinated. Do they count on the fact that people, human psyche, are more prone to believe something if heard over and over again by different trusted sources? Of course. Do echo chamber tactics provide validation? Well, to some, yeah. The more times they hear it, the more times they think, well, that's got to be right because everybody's saying it. Do echo chamber tactics provide validation, credibility to the topic point being discussed? Absolutely. Would control over these institutions and organizations allow for mass control of a population's viewpoint regarding a desired topic? Well, you can just look at what's happened to Trump. A lot of people hate Trump, not because they're aware of anything he's done wrong, because if you ask them, why do you dislike Trump? Oh, they'll repeat what the mainstream media has been repeating over and over and over again, even though it's not based in fact at all. Things like, oh, I don't like him. He's a racist. He's racist. He's sexist. He's whatever. Read again, digest. Would control over these institutions, organizations allow for mass control of population viewpoint regarding a desired topic? Absolutely. That's what propaganda does, and that's what they're all about. Why, after the election of 2016, did Democrats and media corps jumpstart a coordinated and planned divisive blitz intended to create falsehoods, illegitimacy of election, character assassination of POTUS through sexism, racism, every other ism? Why? Because it's like Hillary said. Remember when she said, if that, well, I won't repeat the word, gets into office, we'll all swing from nooses? She knew. She's well aware of what they're involved in. So is the mainstream media. They know. They all know. But they went on a coordinated and planned attack because, well, when you're guilty, you got to deflect that blame, don't you? Oh, it's not us. We haven't done anything wrong. It's all him. It's him. If he hadn't been elected, oh, we'd all be so much better off. That's what they try to tell us anyway. We know it's not true. Post 2016 election, why were violent, masked terror organizations such as Antifa immediately created and funded? Well, because Antifa, they wanted to cast more blame on Trump. So they said, oh, look what he's drawing. You know, look what he's drawing. He's drawing all these violent people. Why were these organizations tasked with immediate intimidation and shutdown of any pro-POTUS rallies and or events? Why? Well, why do you think? I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Why were marches immediately organized to counter and silence pro-POTUS rallies and or events? It didn't work. Didn't work at all. I mean, I think more people attended them. Why were marches immediately organized which divided people into sex, gender, race, ism? Same reason, because they want to develop the narrative that POTUS is divisive. He's divisive because he's sexist, racist, classist, whatever you want to say. When you control the levers of news dissemination, you control the narrative. And hence why Q had to post on the Chans, because they're not censored at all. And yeah, you're going to see a lot of garbage on there. You are. But, you know, if they censored that, then they could also censor free speech in terms of what Q was saying. So it had to be that way. It had to be. And he knew that the people that hang out there are, you know, they're people that are very computer literate, and, you know, they would do the research. They would take it and disseminate it. So When you control, okay, control of the narrative equals power. When you are blind, what do you see? Nothing. What they want you divided. Or some people that are legally blind can see shadows, but that's all they see, shadows. They want you divided by religion, divided by sex, divided by political affiliation, divided by class. When you are divided and angry and controlled, you target those different from you, not those responsible, the controllers. Divided, you are weak. Divided, you pose no threat to their control. When non-dogmatic information becomes free and transparent, it becomes a threat to those who attempt to control the narrative and or stable livestock kept. He's saying they control the stable. Where's the stable? The stable is where the sheep sleep or are, hang out. When you are awake, you stand on the outside of the stable, groupthink collective, and have free thought. Free thought is a philosophical viewpoint which holds that positions regarding truth should be formed on the basis of logic, reason, and empiricism, meaning that which can be proved, rather than authority, tradition, revelation, or dogma. This represents a clear and present danger to the constitutional republic of the United States of America. Q. Now, let's read this because I think it's well stated. Q dropped this post on, and this is by Dio Presso Liber, Sun Q2 on Twitter. Q dropped this post on November 25th and December 18th. 6 corporations control the media. Fake news is the extension of the Democrats. The public are focused on their kids and paying off their mortgages and credit cards. 277 million Americans read, watch, or hear fake news spread by these 6 corporations. It's an illusion of choice. In 1983, 90% of the American media was owned by 50 corporations. By 2011, 90% of the media was owned by 6 corporations. Mass control of population is the ultimate goal. In 1983, 90%, okay, this is, I'm sorry, this is just repeated here. I'm not sure why he, oh, no, it's not. In 1983, 90% of the American media was owned by 50 corporations. By 2011, 90% of the media was owned by 6 corporations. The CIA ultimately figured out the best way to deal with the media was to control it. The media, of course, is now owned by 6 corporations. Here's an example QAnon gave us of how the CIA passes around a 4 a.m. memo with keyword talking points to be disseminated by the puppets. I call them their parrots. They're puppets and parrots. They don't come up with these thoughts on their own. They just parrot what they're told to say. So these 6 corporations make sure the puppets repeat the same lines and same narrative, like the phrase handpicked below. The lines are drawn. I'm not sure what that means. Repeated narrative, like the phrase handpicked below. I don't know. All right, and let's look at this by another one by Dio Presso Liber. Antifa was used by design to attempt to depress the excitement among patriots about real Donald Trump and to diminish turnout at the rallies. We know Soros funded Antifa. The focus of QAnon has been to reach patriots to unite around core principles of patriotism, true freedom, and free thought. Free thought is imperative. Free thought is built on logic and reason, but it does not exist in a vacuum. We are truly on the outside looking in at the sheep, but our goal is to wake the sheep up and pull them out of the daze they are in. An unprecedented psychological war has been waged against the world courtesy of the deep state CIA, all aimed at destroying Donald Trump. Patriots are a threat to the one world system. The only thing standing between the cabal's domination of the world are patriots, and that is true. So that is it for that drop, and we're going on to the next. And this one is 3859, 3859. We are still on February the 12th, and we have a a link here that Q is leading us to, and also a quote by Chuck Schumer, far-right conspiratorial writer who has no credibility. And Q says, panic in D.C. Absolutely. All right, let's go take a look at this. Okay, does anyone think it's out of the question that President Trump might order the FBI to investigate Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, or anyone else? Senator Chuck Schumer asks. This is third world behavior, not American behavior. Yeah, okay. So let's listen to what he's flapping his gums about.
The president is claiming that rigging the rules is perfectly legitimate. He claims an absolute right to order the Justice Department to do anything he wants. And the president has, as his attorney general, an enabler, and that's a kind word, who actually supports this view. Does anyone think it's out of the question that President Trump might order the FBI to investigate Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, or anyone else without any evidence to support such an arbitrary violation of individual rights? Oh, I know, some far-right conspiratorial writer who has no credibility and who just makes things up, writes it, Fox News puts it on, Sean Hannity or someone talks about it, and then the president says investigate.
You see what he's doing there? Because, of course, Hillary Clinton does need to be investigated. And who else did he mention? Joe Biden needs to be investigated. But see, he's putting it out like, oh, this is just deplorable, that he is wanting them to investigate them. And why does he want to investigate them? Because of some far-right conspiratorial writer. And who's he talking about? Q is who he's talking about. That's who he's talking about. Q says all these things, and then Donald Trump says, oh, let's investigate. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Q's not making any of this up, as we've seen, and it's been proven to us over and over again. So let's go back just a little bit to hear him again, now that we know what he's talking about.
To support such an arbitrary violation of individual rights? Oh, I know, some far-right conspiratorial writer who has no credibility and who just makes things up, writes it, Fox News puts it on, Sean Hannity or someone talks about it, and then the president says investigate. That is third world behavior, not American behavior. That kind of behavior defiles that great flag that is standing above us. This is not ordinary stuff.
Like he cares anything about America or the flag.
President, Democrat, Republican, liberal, or conservative.
Oh, I don't know. That guy bugs me so much. And I watch him and I can feel my stomach doing flips because he is so vile. I mean, Adam Schiff is just stupid, nonsensical. But Chuck Schumer, he is a vile human being. Anyway, let's go on because we can. And so, yeah, he's talking about Q. That's who he's talking about. And it says here, is Chuck Schumer afraid of Q? Absolutely he is. They're all terrified of Q. All right, let's go on to the next. And we are on February 13th now. February 13th. Drop 3860, 3860. All right, Jim Jordan, and parenthesis, Bill Barr is fighting to hold the FBI accountable for lying to the FISA court 17 times. Yeah, one time might be an oversight. 17 times. And yes, I do realize that 17 is the 17th letter of the alphabet is Q. All right, let's look at this meme. Haven't you figured it out yet? It's not about Trump's corruption. It's about making sure you don't find out about their corruption. Bingo. That's exactly what it's all about. Now, let's look at this. He's left a link here to a tweet by Jim Jordan, and we're going to look at that. I've cut it out to save a little bit of time. Democrats call on Barr to resign. Really? Bill Barr is fighting to hold the FBI accountable for lying to the FISA court 17 times. Yeah, and right. It's about you not finding out about their corruption. That's what all of this is about. So let's come down to the next, and we are on today. So we have entered into the realm of today. Today's Q post, we are at 3861. Durham scrutinizing John Brennan's handling of Russian interference in 2016. And we've got a link here, and we're going to go out to that. And Q tells us, read carefully. Sound familiar? Sometimes a leak turns into a flood. Q. Let's go take a look at what he's talking about. Shall we? Of course we shall. This from the Washington Examiner. Durham scrutinizing John Brennan's handling of Russian interference in 2016. And this is today's news, so it's hot and fresh, just like the Krispy Kreme donut sign. So, U.S. Attorney John Durham is reportedly reviewing John Brennan's analysis of Russian election interference, including scrutiny of the former Obama CIA director's handling of a secret source said to be close to the Kremlin. Durham, who was selected by Attorney General William Barr in 2019 to look into the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation and the government's response to Moscow's meddling, which we know they didn't do, is investigating whether Brennan's CIA was attempting to keep other agencies in the dark as he pushed for specific preconceived analytic assessment about Russia's true intention in 2016, the New York Times reported Thursday. The top Connecticut prosecutor's team reviewed emails from the CIA, FBI, and National Security Agency analysis who came together to assess Russia's interference, the new report revealed, and Durham's investigators pressed for answers about why some agencies, at least temporarily, denied other agencies access to secretive intelligence about the Kremlin's active measures campaign. Durham interviewed agents and analysts from all three agencies, and the report said he was scrutinizing whether the clash over intelligence sharing was the typical sort of bureaucratic turf battle over jealously guarded secrets or an effort to cover something up. Well, we know it was an effort to cover something up. Much of this revolves around how the United States government eventually reached its January 2017 intelligence assessment on Russian meddling and whether Brennan was pushing for a biased result. Of course he was. One major battle was about the identity and credibility of a CIA source allegedly close to the Kremlin. The NSA wanted more details about him, which the CIA resisted before providing them. The NSA then disagreed with the CIA and FBI about how much confidence to place in the source. At least some intelligence officials were disturbed by a law enforcement officer, such as Durham, inquiring into the assessments made by intelligence agencies, though Durham played a similar role in his Obama-era investigation into the CIA's destruction of tapes showing the harsh interrogation of detainees. Durham hasn't yet interviewed Brennan, though the report said his emails and other records have been requested from the CIA by the U.S. Attorney. Retired Admiral Mike Rogers, who was head of the NSA at the time, was interviewed by Durham last summer and fall. The January 2017 intelligence community assessment in question concluded with high confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 and that Russia worked to undermine public faith in U.S. democratic process, denigrate former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency, and developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. The NSA diverged on one aspect, expressing only moderate confidence that Putin actively tried to help Trump's election chances and harm those of Clinton by contrasting her unfavorably. And of course, we know none of that is true. I would call it a discrepancy. I'd call it an honest difference of opinion between three different organizations. And in the end, I made that call. Rogers told the Senate in May 2017 it didn't have the same level of sourcing and the same level of multiple sources. It was Brennan's still classified wake-up call intelligence that prompted the Obama administration to reconsider how it viewed Russia's hacking of the Democratic National Committee, which never happened. They were never hacked. It was Seth Rich. We all know that. The Senate Intelligence Committee revealed last week the specifics of the intelligence that jolted Barack Obama's national security team into action is detailed in a blacked out section titled Redacted. Intelligence was the wake-up call. Within an hour or two of being briefed on the intelligence, then National Security Advisor Susan Rice said Obama needed to know. Rice said the president's reaction was of grave concern. Oh, I bet it was. Which prompted her to call the first of a series of restricted small group principals committee meetings on the topic. During the meeting with the president, Director Brennan also advised the president of a plan to brief key individuals, including congressional leadership, but not disseminate the intelligence via routine reporting channels, the Senate report stated. The committee noted the receipt of the sensitive intelligence prompted the National Security Council to begin a series of restricted principals committee meetings to craft the administration's response, and said the discussions were atypically restricted and excluded key officials who were normally clued in. Gee, I can't imagine why. Former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper and U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Samantha Power said that the extraordinarily restricted nature of the meetings and departure from routine methods of disseminating intelligence were reminiscent of how they handled preparations for the Osama bin Laden raid. Former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates called it very cloak and dagger. The list even initially excluded the Secretary of State, the Defense Secretary, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and the Treasury Secretary. Several NSC officials who would normally be included in discussions of importance, such as the NSC Senior Director for Russia, the Senior Director for Intelligence Programs, and the White House Cybersecurity Coordinator, were neither included in the discussions nor exposed to the sensitive intelligence until after the election, the report said. The Brennan delayed intelligence was likely detailed in a June 2017 Washington Post article, which stated that in early August 2016, the CIA sent an eyes-only envelope addressed to Obama that contained an intelligence bombshell from sourcing deep inside the Russian government, that detailed Putin's specific instructions to help Trump and hurt Clinton in 2016. The material was said to be so sensitive it was kept out of the president's daily brief. One day after Trump gave Barr full and complete declassification authority to examine the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation in May 2019, the New York Times published a piece on this source, long nurtured by the CIA, whom the outlet hinted was now in danger of being exposed in Russia, but he had already left the country. The source's initial resistance to being pulled out reportedly led to some question whether he might be a double agent. Hotly disputed reporting by CNN and others in September 2019 about the reasons for the alleged source's apparent 2017 exfiltration from Russia eventually exposed his identity and revealed he was living in the D.C. area. He's since been moved and is not known whether Durham has questioned him. So let's go back and let's take a look. I thought that these were particularly well done, so I've included them here. This by Dio Presso Liber. Durham investigating Brennan and his handling of a secret source close to the Kremlin, as well as to why CIA prevented other agencies from reviewing secret intel about Kremlin's active measures campaign. We know why. CIA was the one spying on Trump campaign and blaming Russia. Russia was never involved in all this. This is a big public revelation. CIA prevented the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and NSC from from reviewing the intel, and as early as August 2016, Brennan sent to Hussein a summation of a bombshell discovery. This is evidence that Obama knew about the Crossfire Hurricane plan since August 2016. And this by Joe M., and he is another good person to follow on Twitter. He said the secret society Lisa Page referred to is being revealed. The IG report showed inexplicable failures in the FBI, but now we have the CIA also in on the Russia collusion scam by pitching Misfit as a Russian asset when he was really a Brennan plant. Yeah. Now, let's go on. This is the next drop. It is 3862. Barr's delayed testimony allows for public dissemination of critical facts. Now, we have a link here to a Twitter account, and I have clipped that out for our viewing pleasure. This is Andrea Junker. I need someone to explain to me why Bill Barr can immediately sit down with ABC, but not under oath before Congress. Explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten. And Q goes on to explain. Regarding delayed testimony. 1, it allows for public dissemination of critical facts, possible unsealed declassification prior to world televised sit-down. Sometimes the necessary forum to update the American public is provided by those same people being investigated for ... Release to change strategy. Watch what happens next. So Q is saying, watch what happens, and that somebody is saying, this Andrea Junker is saying, why can Bill Barr sit down with ABC and not under oath? Well, they are allowing for the dissemination of critical facts prior to that, so people are informed. And that makes perfect sense to me, and I hope it does to you as well. And this by Dio Presso Liber. This may be disinformation, but Q saying before Barr testifies, declass may occur to allow info to be disseminated into public's purview before he testifies. ABC is hostile towards POTUS, and therefore ABC interviewing Barr and not Fox gives perception that this is not a right-wing Fox News political hit job. ABC, part of fake news, and many of the reporters being investigated for treason and being part of the coup. Again, it's important that Barr it's important that Barr appear independent and non-political to let public see this is not a Republican versus Democrat issue. It's a good versus evil. And like we noted earlier. All right, and this is fascinating, I tell you, and I have not seen anyone come up with this, but I wonder if I'm onto something here. All right, this next post is a blank drop, nothing there. There's just Q and his code and a time that it was posted. So I said to myself, well, this wouldn't be here if it was a mistake. Wouldn't be there. Q would have informed that it was a mistake or whatever, but he didn't. So that means there's information here. Although it doesn't seem like there is, there has to be, right? So I started thinking, well, what could it could only be either in the drop itself, or this is Q and his code, can't be that. So then I looked at this 129.15, and I asked myself, and here, this is before I started thinking about this, I showed it's a blank drop and the definition of blank, but I don't think we need that. We all know what blank is, and I don't think it has anything to do with the definition of blank. And here is Julian's Rum's take, which I don't really agree with, but anyway, he said Q posted a blank drop at 1:29 p.m. today. Not sure if it's connected, but Q did another peculiar thing on this day, February 14th last year. Q posted without a trip code in drop 2706. Well, I looked at that. I thought, is this related? But then I just kept coming back to this and thinking there has to be something in here that is giving us information. There has to be. So I looked at this because it was posted at 1:29:15 p.m. All right. So I looked up 12915, and guess what I came up with? Well, I came up with this. 12915 is a train. It's called the Ashram Express. And the Ashram Express 12915 is a superfast train operated by the Western Railways of the Indian Railways. This train runs between Ahmedabad. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look up how to pronounce that properly. Ahmedabad? I don't know. There's got to be a way to pronounce it that's correct. And I'm pretty sure I'm not doing it. Anyway, and it runs between that junction and Delhi. Okay? Delhi. It is a daily train as the traffic along this route is high. The Ashram Express made its inaugural run on August 1st, 1997. That is neither here nor there. And timing and distance, the Ashram Express 12915 departs Ahmedabad, at 18:30 p.m. and arrives at Old Delhi Junction at 10:10. The train covers a distance of 934 kilometers in roughly 15 hours and 40 minutes. Okay, probably that doesn't have anything to do with it, but the thing that struck me about this is it's in India, and we've been hearing India a lot in the posts by both POTUS and FLOTUS. So let's look at this from Melania. Thank you for the kind invitation. Looking forward to visiting Ahmed. Oh, I gotta look up how to say that. This place that the Ashram Express comes out of, and New Delhi. So this train, the 12915, runs between those two places, and that blank drop, there had to be a reason for it. Could it be this 12915? It was that drop was dropped at 129:15, and it had to mean something. There has to be a meaning in there, and it's either that meaning has to be either in this number or this number. And I thought to myself, well, this is a lot more controllable than this number, although I'm sure he could control that number, but it just makes sense to me that it's in the time. It makes sense to me. So, and I think that looking at their posts about going to India later this month, I think they're going on February. Okay, it says here, this is by Narendra Modi. Extremely delighted that POTUS, real Donald Trump, and FLOTUS will visit India on 24th and 25th of February. India will accord a memorable welcome to our esteemed guests. This visit is a very special one, and it will go a long way in further cementing India-USA friendship. Okay, and here, U.S. President Donald Trump to visit India on 24th to 25th of this month. On the first official visit to India, the U.S. President, along with the First Lady, Melania Trump, will also travel to that place where that train originates, and also New Delhi. So I think it's interesting. Now, what it's saying, what is that post saying about the Ashram Express? I don't know. And could I be wrong? Sure, I could be wrong. But that drop means something. And I just don't see how any other way to kind of, discern that other than the time. So, and then when I found out that there was a 12915 called the Ashram Express, and it's in between the two places that President and First Lady are going to be visiting, well, I would say that's significant, wouldn't you? I think so. All right. And the White House, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will travel to New Delhi and that place that I can't pronounce, which is in PM Modi's home state of Gujarat, and played such an important role in Mahatma Gandhi's life and leadership of the Indian independence movement. Again, interesting, very interesting. So that home state, they're traveling to both of those places that's covered by the Ashram Express, and it's in the PM's home state of Gujarat, and that place played an important role in Mahatma Gandhi's life and leadership of the Indian independence movement. So what is Q telling us? I'm not exactly sure yet, but I know it has to do with India. I'm almost 100% certain of that. Now, like I said, I've been wrong before, but it's a darn good guess at any rate. All right. At the very least, it's a darn good guess. Okay, now we are on to drop 3864. 3864. Durham's investigation of Andrew McCabe is still ongoing. Well, now let's look at this. No, really, let's. Okay, they've only dropped the investigation arising from Horowitz 2018 referral. So everybody that's got their knickers in a knot about all this can calm down. It's under control. This has nothing to do with Durham's investigation, which is still ongoing. So there you go. That makes a whole lot of sense. Now it says breaking, DOJ has dropped pursuit of criminal charges against McCabe, and everyone and the people were up in arms. They were. Just look on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. People are ticked off. But you have to realize that this is only the charges that are arising from Horowitz's 2018 referral, and it does not have anything to do with Durham. So relax. Relax. Be happy, people. Be happy. Life is too short. Darn too short. All right. So I think we can go on, but look at this by Praying Medic. The announcement, and Praying Medic is another good person to follow on Twitter. The announcement that the DOJ is dropping the investigation of Andrew McCabe only involves the 2018 criminal referral from the IG investigation, not the Spygate investigation U.S. Attorney John Durham is conducting. U.S. Attorney John Durham was one of 17 prosecutors appointed in 2017 by then Attorney General Jeff Sessions. These appointments were for 6 months and were made prior to President Trump's permanent appointments. There you go. So let's move along. I think we've got 2 more left. And 1 after this. Okay, and 3865, drop 3865. Maybe that is the last one, to tell you the truth. It is. We're on the very last drop for today. Now, this says DOJ Attorney John Durham is going to bring bigger slam dunk charges. So this is and this links to Dan Bongino's Twitter page, another great person to follow, and he has a wonderful show. If you're not watching it, perhaps you should be. He's very, very good. All right, and it says bigger slam dunk charges coming. Yes, yes. And here's Dan Bongino. He says, I'm not playing the game until the Durham investigation concludes. I strongly encourage you to do the same. Check out this for more details. And yes, he did talk about it in his show today, which I've watched, or maybe it was, I think it was today's show. It was very good. I was up so early today, it feels like it was yesterday, but it was actually this morning. Okay, and this, again, from Praying Medic, Bongino is smart enough to know that this is not the end. No one in the FBI will be exonerated until Durham and Huber's investigations are over and people have been indicted. Since the DOJ's policy is to prosecute the most serious and readily provable charges, yes, bigger slam dunk charges are coming against McCabe, Comey, and the rest of the Spygate plotters. AG Barr must convince Americans that he can restore equal justice. Roger Stone admitted to his crimes. Equal justice demands that he be found guilty and sentenced. Barr's statement proves to his critics that he has integrity. The issue of restoring justice is bigger than one man's case. At issue is whether Barr can be trusted by the nation and the world to be a fair arbiter of justice. He must render treatment to all, regardless of political affiliation. So that brings us to the end of the Q post for today. Now, today's not over, so Q could still post. But let's go and just check out to see if Q has posted anything else while we've been looking at this, because I do want us to be up to date. Hang on here. I don't understand why. I was looking that up and now... Okay, so, yeah, he's still posting. Still posting. So, where did he leave off here? There's the blank drop. There's Bonj. So we've got two more. Now, what I'm going to do, because it's 10:36 p.m., I'm going to, tomorrow, along with whatever I bring you, I will cover whatever has not been covered in this, in these posts, because there are two more, and I would rather look at them and, you know, think about them before I bring them to you. Of course, you are welcome to go out to qmap.pub to view them yourself, but I will bring those to you tomorrow. So, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be ongoing posts tonight. It seems that way. It's been a big drop today. So I guess Q isn't out with his Valentine. He's somewhere posting. I know. Q's not a man, woman. It's a group of people. All right. All right, guys. That is it for this video. Oh, I'm all off kilter here. Look, I should be in the middle. I don't know what happened. Anyway, that is it. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it so much. I am hoping to be back with another video tonight. I'm going to rest my voice for a little bit while this is uploading and see how I am, because I'm evidently struggling with my voice tonight, and I should have posted earlier, but I had a laundry list of things to do. So, all right, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and that's right, keep seeking truth. Good night, guys.